Yes, not surprisingly, energy is the biggest outperformer. XLE up 3% in that large cap space, but industrials also getting a lot of love. We have Northrop Grumman, RTX, for instance, and Honeywell, some others that have enjoyed some price appreciation here. But for the most part, it is risk off. Even Meta was actually showing a little bit of love. And let me just flip over to the Nasdaq 100 page, and you can see this was a sea of red before. There's a little bit more green. But what's interesting to me is to plot the difference between the semiconductor space and the software space. Now here's semiconductors, everything in the red here. Mobileye, which is an Israeli chip company that was spun off from Intel last year, that stock is down about 6.4% over the last year, up 37%. But that stock under pressure today disproportionately, but not seeing any huge fallout. And then when we compare that to the software sector in the U.S., we can see a few cybersecurity names are actually benefiting quite nicely from this international conflagration. But one thing I'd like to add is that when we have a geopolitical disruption like this, we tend to see mean reversion. So that if we spike up in certain markets, that tends to ameliorate over the coming days and weeks. Even when we saw the Russian invasion of Ukraine a couple years ago, the crude oil market, WTI spiked up to $130, but then it did come off of that. And if we're looking at a tight oil market right now, that's on the supply side, and I'm going to go to the futures markets right now, where we see crude oil is the biggest gainer at 4.5%, still well off of the highs that we recently had, about $94, $95 per barrel. A lot of traders were caught off guard by this rise, and so this little bit of a downdraft was actually a bit of a respite from that bullish action, but now we're seeing that pick up again. So even though I said these geopolitical events tend to get some mean reversion over time, we could still see elevated prices, and we don't know exactly how this is going to play out in all of the markets, especially given the fact that this is a bond market holiday. Lots of traders not here. We can look at the currency markets, we can look at the stock markets, but the fact is a lot of traders are just not in the room. So we're going to have to wait until tomorrow in the U.S. to get the full fallout from the situation. On the Wi-Fi Interactive here, I want to point out that some of the defense stocks that I've been talking about have been surging. Lockheed Martin up 6%, RTX up 3%, but these are stocks which have really flagged over the last couple months. You can see here's Lockheed Martin, just broke down in the month of September, month of October, and only now because of this bouncing back. But the reason I'm bringing this to your attention is I think a lot of these stocks are just short covering rallies that we're seeing right now. Here's General Electric, a stock that is up 68%, probably has a lower short interest in it, and so not really seeing that squeeze to the upside. That stock is down 1.2%. I think a lot of these moves are simply going to be reversed in the coming days, but if we see a pickup in the conflagration, then anything can happen. So suffice to say that we've seen a lot of disruptions in the market here, but we've also seen some pockets of strength.